And we're ready to rate the middleweights here on Friday Night Fights. Would it be a marvelous rating system? Marvelous is in there, but he's not at the very top, Max. So you go ahead.
Yeah, Hagler, underrated by real boxing guys, overrated by general sports fans. Look, you talk about the greatest middleweights of all time. #1 on the list, and not a lot of people know this, but they should, is Harry Greb. Greb has the greatest ring record in the history of boxing, including everybody. Langford at #2. You know, Langford, I'm a little uncomfortable rating there. I'm going based on reports that he carried Ketchel in their no-decision fight, but some reports say that that was a legit fight and Ketchel was winning. And Langford really wasn't great at middle, but that was where he was most effective, even fighting heavyweights. Ray Robinson, 3, of course. Look, Robinson was old, fighting young guys, beating everyone. Hagler, 4. A lot of old timers say, how can you put Hagler ahead of LaMotta and these guys? Look, Hagler was the best pound-for-pound fighter in boxing for half a decade. How many fighters in history can say that, let alone middleweights? Moving along, we got Carlos Monzon. I know Teddy loves Carlos Monzon, and I would rate him a little higher, except against old, past their primes guys. When Monzon was in his prime, he struggled. Guys like Emil Griffith, the only really great fighter in his prime, maybe great fighter, was Valdez, and Monzon struggled both times. Stanley Ketchel, look, his career was too short. He lost to Pappy even in his prime. Otherwise, he may rate higher. Bob Fitzsimmons, not a lot of people know this, considered the greatest middleweight of all time until the 30s and 40s, when people started looking back and saying, no, Ketchel was better. Jake LaMotta, mixed results against the best opposition he ever fought, but still one of the greatest middleweights nonetheless. Of course, Tony Azale, you know, abbreviated prime because of the war, but among the greatest. And Marcel Cerdan, maybe he too would rate higher. A lot of abbreviated careers in middleweight, but he died too soon in a tragic plane crash.
Well, now Teddy Atlas joins us, and he's got his own rating system, and I don't know how far he's braced for this now, Teddy. But you go ahead, give your best of all time.
All right, here's my best, guys, right there. And the first thing I want to say, put it up there. The first thing I want to say is, Max, how could you not have Mickey Walker on your list?
Teddy,
let me tell you something, Max.
Max,
I got to tell you one thing. You didn't have Gene Tunney on the list of all-time greatest. Now you don't have Mickey Walker. I am not taking you to the Blarney Stone to eat lunch. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, no,
that's going to be a problem.
Teddy,
I could go to the Blarney Stone. You can't go.
Okay.
I mean, anyway, going back to my list,
yeah,
I got a lot of the same guys you got, but I got Ezra Charles. Ezra Charles, one of the great fighters of all time, heavyweight champ of the world, but he was also rated #1 as a middleweight. I know he wasn't there long, but he was a terrific fighter. I know this one that Max wouldn't argue with. He loves Ezra Charles. And Charlie Burley. Charlie Burley never got to fight for a world title, but Charlie Burley, a lot of old-timers think he was one of the great fighters of all time.
Yeah,
He beat guys like Archie Moore.
But when you analyze Burley's record at middleweight, again, mixed wins against the best opposition. About Mickey Walker, if we're talking about welters, I have him just behind Ray Robinson, maybe Ray Leonard. But at middleweight, it was considered a robbery against Tiger Flowers. He lost to Harry Greb, didn't fight for long at middleweight. So I have a problem putting him in there with some guys who had lengthier, more accomplished careers at middle.
My only argument would be this: he beat heavyweights. How can you not put a guy on the list, Max?
Yeah.
When he fought a draw with Jack Sharkey. Jack Sharkey was good enough to beat Max Schmeling.
Because I'm thinking of him
was good enough to knock out a guy named Joe Louis. I think that allows Mickey Walker to be on that list, and you're not going to the Blarney Stone.
Certainly you can argue that. Maybe I'm not going to the Blarney Stone, but I'll tell you something. Walker, I'm thinking of as a welterweight, not a middleweight. I felt he got mixed results.
Max, you lost. I think we better get to my current guys. Let's get to my current guys.
Okay.
You lost.
Yeah, go ahead. Go to current middleweights.
Okay.
Shoot.
Here's the list up there of my current guys. It's let's be honest here. This is not a distinguished list of fighters. The middleweight class nowadays is not one of the strong classes like it used to be in the old days. Bernard Hopkins, who fought Roy Jones Jr. a few years ago in a close fight. William Jobby, who retired Roberto Duran probably for good. Robert Allen, who's going to fight a rematch with Bernard Hopkins tomorrow night. That was a controversial fight. It was a disqualification. Both guys fell out of the ring in the 4th round, and Hopkins couldn't continue because of his sprained ankle. Sharifi, he fights out of France. Come get your guy. Keith Holmes, he's rated #6 by the IBF. Southpaw, pretty good puncher. I mean, these are the best of what's there today. Not a distinguished crew.